What's going on, everybody? Welcome back. FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, bringing home the bacon NFL DFS video. We are going to break down the 12-game main slate for Week 3 here on DraftKings. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to use a couple of things. We are going to use our matchup tool, which is part of FTA Plus. So if you don't know what FTA Plus is, you can check us out, FantasyTeamAdvisors.com, NFL tab. So we got our bacon station, which is our matchup tool. We're going to look at it. I'm going to give you guys a preview into how to use it and how to look into it. We've got simulations. We have volume report. So the players that have the most volumes this year, I'm going to change that. I need to update that to 2024. We've got the snap counts, red zone stats, player projections, fantasy points allowed by position, the Vegas odds for this week, our cheat sheet. We've got our chalk, and we've got prop bets that we've got going on for you guys. So what this is what we consider our bacon station, which is the research that we've done. I hand build this every single week, so a lot of blood, sweat, and tears goes into this. So I am showing you guys this for Week 3. On top of that, we are going to use SaberSim to build out some lineups just like we've done with MLB. So if you guys have not heard about it or you have never seen SaberSim in action, we're going to show you kind of what it does, the projection, some ownership, how to finagle some of the settings, how to check out the contest simulations to show you which lineups might be best for return on investment in those games. We're going to show you it all. So we're going to build it with DraftKings, but our matchup tool has both DraftKings and FanDuel statistics, and we're going to show you what I mean by that. So we are going to get into it. Again, if you've never been to the channel, we are 49 subscribers away from 10,000. It would be awesome to get that before the start of this main slate. And we have a giveaway. We have a giveaway every single video. So how to win in this giveaway or have a chance to win. Like this video, be a subscriber, and leave a comment. If this video gets at least 50 likes, you will have a chance to win a free week of FTA Plus. That is a week of all sports that are current. So a week of NFL, a week of MLB, a week of NASCAR, MMA, PGA, and NBA once that is back. If the video gets at least 100 likes, you have a chance at a free month. Same thing, a free month of all of that. 150 likes, a chance at a $200 free year. So you would have a year on top of that. And if this video gets 200 or more likes, you have a chance at a $500 lifetime pass, which is exactly what it sounds like. You get a pass free for the lifetime of the website. And I will let you know right now, this FantasyTeamAdvisors.com has been around for 10 years. So 2014 started as a blog on sports blog. It then evolved into dailyrotohelp.com, and then we eventually moved into changing the name to Fantasy Team Advisors. So hopefully you guys are ready. We are going to dig into this juicy slate. We're going to look at all of the news, notes, and everything. And we are also going to use our sponsor, Outlier.bet, for everything we need, betting-wise, insights-wise, injury news, notes, and everything like that in every single game. So hopefully you're ready to go. Hopefully you're ready to buckle in. Let's do it. So just kind of showing you our sponsor, Outlier, the insights that come in here, these should flood into our Discord, which is an absolutely free Discord. The link should be in the description down below, so make sure to check that out as well. You can build your bet slips through here, and you can do a ton of things. So we are here for you. Hopefully you are here to learn some things as well. So depending, you can go into the games, and you can dig into each game of this main slate if that's what you want to do. It's all there. So you can go look at that. So let's just, for instance, look at the Bears at the Colts. You can see the money line bets. Most of the money's on the Colts, obviously. The spread, they think the Bears are going to cover the spread somehow, because the Colts are 0-2, and Bears somehow have a win. The defense has a win, I should say. And then you can look at all the bets, over-unders, if there are bets on over-unders. And you can see how they've done in those games. So there are a ton of information to look at. If you want to break down possibly like just looking at the matchup details in this game, you can see the scoring, the third down conversions, passing yards, just the differences in all of this information. Records versus common opponents, team rankings so far this year with efficiency, third down conversion, red zone, everything there. Outlier.bet is there. If you want to sign up, the link is down below. Sign up for the regular package. You get a 7-day free trial regardless. Sign up for the $20 package. We're going to give you a free month of FTA Plus. Sign up for the $130 package. We are going to give you 3 months free, which is a $90 value on top of that. So make sure you check out everything. You can look at the injuries for this game, like Keenan Allen is out. So it's going to open up maybe Rome, maybe. Who knows? A lot of things we can look at for all of the injured players in this game. So definitely make sure to check this out. So looking up the matchup tool, let me make it a little bit bigger for you. Okay, so what you do here is we are looking, this is the defense you want to target against. So these are the defenses, and these are the passing points or passing stats allowed to quarterbacks this year. Rushing quarterbacks, obviously there are some. Then these are the fantasy points. So it depends on the website you're looking at. So you look at DraftKings fantasy points. So we've got the fantasy points there. You've got FanDuel depending. So what you do are these are players to target. So these are the players to target, and these are all the ones that should be playing all of their stats. I do this by hand every single week. So again, liking the video, clicking on the ads helps out considering I'm showing you this for this video. But let's say we want to sort it. You play in DraftKings. We want to sort it by fantasy points for DraftKings. In theory, through 2 games, again, it's a very small sample size, but you can see Jared Goff technically has the best matchup against the Arizona Cardinals, who have given up the most amount of fantasy points on this slate here, and just so on and so forth. And this is every game. So you can go through, and then, for instance, you come in here, we want to target that game here, Detroit. So obviously Jared Goff, and you look at Jared Goff game logs, hasn't really done a ton in the first 2 weeks. His percentage is under 65%, 307 yards against Tampa Bay, only 13.7 because he had 2 interceptions. So we kind of look at this. If you look passing yards, so Arizona ranks 19th there. Rushing yards, again, he doesn't run a ton. You can see 5 yards, 7 yards. So he's not going to run a ton. So it really just depends on how you're going to build. Obviously, you're going to stack him with, people are going to be on Amon-Ra, but you might want to stack him with Jameson Williams. Like, that makes a little bit of sense there. That's kind of what we're looking at when we're trying to build out. So that being said, you can use this tool all the way through to, you've got certain players you want to use and you want to stack, you want to change it. We go to SaberSim for that. So then we go to running backs. I'm just going to breeze over this and show you real quick. So what I've done with the running backs, I've looked at the stats. Any team that has, if we know that there's like a one running back that's the main guy, like Eagles, Saquon, you're not really going to use Kenneth Gainwell very much. But there are certain teams that have 1 or 2, maybe 3 that you would even look at. And like the Browns have Jerome Ford, who have 108 yards. And then you've got, Pierre Strong, who has 5 yards. I'm showing you, you're really not going to, you're going to use the main guy, but we're going through, you can see defenses, we're going to sort it by DraftKings fantasy points. So in theory, Denver gives up the most amount, or gives up the most amount of DraftKings fantasy points to the opposing running back. So Rachaad White would be in a good spot today. The Colts give up the second most, so DeAndre Swift or Khalil Herbert, depending on what you're looking at. So if you want to look in that game, you want to look at the Bears, you want to look at running backs, and you want to look at Chicago running backs, Swift, Herbert, and then, Homer's on. I didn't even realize they put Homer on IR. They put him on today, actually. So he's on the IR. So then you got Johnson, Roschon Johnson, hasn't done anything, was inactive last week. So you just have so many different ways to use this tool. You go down to Browns, Jerome Ford you would use. The Lions, both Jahmyr Gibbs and David Montgomery, both are active, so it depends on if you want to use which one you want to use. The Rams with Kyron Williams, the Bengals have Zach Moss and Chase Brown, so on it. You've got Kyle Juszczyk for the 49ers, but basically Jordan Mason is the only one you would use in that lineup. Unless you make like 150 lineups, then I understand. So that's how you use the tool for running backs. Then we use it for wide receivers. Some teams throw to 2 wide receivers. Some teams throw to 4 or 5. So Bengals, we have 3. T. Higgins is in. Jamar Chase is there. Obviously, probably Andre's not going to do much. Again, we don't know. We don't know what's going to happen. But Jamar Chase is there. T. Higgins is there. You move to the Saints. The Eagles, it's Rashid Shaheed and then Chris Olave. I would use Shaheed here. Steelers with Pickens and Van Jefferson. Again, there might be ones that are elevated. Wide receiver 3, maybe you use, but we are targeting basically the top. Then you've got the Cardinals. Most likely you're only going to be using Marvin Harrison. But you got the other two if everyone, the chalk's going to be on Harrison, obviously. Texans have 3. Panthers, we have 4. They spread the ball around, and it's a new quarterback. So then you kind of have to look at what the quarterback liked last year when Andy Dalton came in. He really loved Adam Thielen. So we look at Adam Thielen. Xavier Legette, he's there. Browns have 4. It's just there's a ton. We've gone through. We've showed you. So Washington is bad against the pass. So the Bengals might be a great stack in this situation. So obviously, if you're using a wide receiver for the Bengals, probably want to use Joe Burrow there. So on and so forth. And then tight ends, the majority of them just one. It's been very bad for tight ends this year so far. Been very bad for the tight ends. And you can see the team that gives up the most to tight ends so far are the Bengals. So Zach Ertz could be a good spot for Commanders, especially if you want to do a game stack. So you're already stacking Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase. Bring it back with Zach Ertz. That's kind of the thought process when you were stacking a full game there. So be on the lookout for that. That's a kind of one we're looking at. Houston obviously makes a lot of sense with Vikings with Johnny Munt or Josh Oliver really spreads it around. So it's kind of a crapshoot there. Chargers have 2. Seahawks, Noah Fant. Steelers, Pat Freiermuth. Don't know what we're going to get out of this Carolina Panthers offense. So I'm always a little bit concerned there. But we can use this tool and we can build off of that. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put the tool on the other side. I'm going to come over here to SaberSim, which you guys see. And some people have used it. So if you've used it, let me know down below. But Houston's without a few of their running backs. So if we look at Houston, we look at their running back situation. Dameon Pierce is out. Joe Mixon is out. Cam Akers is probably going to be super chalky. Ogunbowale, only 200 less. Then you got J.J. Taylor. You don't know. They're all right around the same price. I think Cam Akers makes sense in cash. I think we want to fade him a little bit in tournaments. So, like, just the initial run here, lineup-wise, put the ownership very high. So I'm gonna cap it off at 15% ownership, and then we can change it from there. So then there's just a lot of ways to go about these games. So you kind of look, and if you want to see the highest scoring games currently right now with betting odds, we have that on the website under the NFL tab and under Vegas odds. But if we're just looking here and we are trying to see who the best odds are and who's the highest scoring game, with the current line, we've got the highest scoring game currently is the Cardinals at the Lions, or Cardinals versus Lions, 51.5. Opened up at 50, so it's gone up. And we have the Lions only being a 3-point favorite, so it could be a crapshoot on both sides. So maybe you want to take a look. So then you bring it back. You come to the matchup tool. Jared Goff, the Cardinals there. He's in a good spot. Then it's Caleb Williams, Josh Allen, who's not on the main slate, then Kyler Murray. So if you want to look at Kyler Murray, you want to look at Jared Goff, something along the lines of like Jared Goff, Jameson Williams, bring it back with Marvin Harrison. If the game follows the script, that is a good starting point. So we're going to go to the quarterbacks first. We're going to make a little bit of adjustments, and we're going to build around here first. So just kind of looking, I do like Kyler Murray. We're going to bump him up. Let's just do 21 out of him. Lamar Jackson, I'm going to take him down to 20, just because the Dallas defense is still good. I understand what happened last week. We come down to Jared Goff. I'm going to put him at 21 as well. So I'm going to bump him up number 2. If we look at this, Joe Burrow is not on this main slate. Josh Allen is not either. Caleb Williams is on this main slate, but I just do not trust him enough. Derek Carr's been balling out. I'm going to put him at 19. So I'm going to change him. CJ Stroud makes sense. At Minnesota, could be a shootout. I'm going to put 19.5. So we're going to bring him there. Jalen Hurts against New Orleans, I'm just going to put him at 20. Then we move to the running back. And again, these are just certain different ways to build around. So looking at running back, Tampa Bay running backs, okay? So we got Tampa Bay running backs. We've got Rashad White, Bucky Irvin, and they do have Sean Tucker, but we're not using him. So Denver Broncos have given up 229 yards to opposing running backs in 2 games. 59 yards in the air, and 1 touchdown on the ground, 1 touchdown in the air. So Rachaad White, I'm going to bump him up to 16. We're going to move him there. So that's 1. Number 2 is DeAndre Swift for the Bears. Whether or not you think DeAndre Swift is going to have anything. So we can look at Swift, and you look at him game log wise, he hasn't done much. But was going up against Tennessee and one's going up against Houston. Then you can look at the matchup. Rushing defense for Indy, giving up an average of 237. They rank dead last against the run, which is wild. They've given up a total. The Colts have given up 350 yards to running backs rushing and 25 receiving yards. So then DeAndre Swift makes a lot of sense. So we come through here and we update him here. So I'm going to bump Swift up to 15. Let's go 15.2. And again, this is how you would use your matchup tool that you have and the optimizer from SaberSim. So he makes sense. The Giants are a very bad team, so that would take us over to Jerome Ford, who, if we look at Jerome Ford here in this game, he kind of was silent early in the game. Didn't do a ton in that game. So if we look at Cleveland's running back situation, obviously Chubb is out. Ford was there. Deontay Foreman was there. Deontay Foreman last week had 1 reception on 1 target, so took some away from him. So Pierre Strong is out of this game with a hamstring. In that game last week, he was taking some out of there. So it'll really just depend. Gary Brightwell, I don't believe. So maybe he's in this game. Maybe it's a sneaky one, but I would not use him. So the only one I would be using would be Jerome Ford. So I'm going to bump him up to 15.2. So again, this is just certain ways to build out. Then it would come to the Lions, Jahmyr Gibbs or David Montgomery. So we come into here. We go into Detroit. Where's Detroit? Detroit here, running backs. Jahmyr Gibbs last week, game log wise, 17.6. He's been very active. Targets, he's been the targets there. Only 1 touchdown on the year, 24 attempts, 124 yards. So he has been active here. So we look at that. Then we look at David Montgomery. Game log wise, he's also been very active. Has 2 touchdowns on the year, 28 attempts. Likes to vulture touchdowns. Is in the passing game as well. So I think this gives a bump to both. We've got both of these guys. So we look at both of these guys and put it here. Jahmyr Gibbs to 16.5, David Montgomery to 15, because they're going to both be active there. So just a couple of those. And then obviously the algorithm is going to love it, but Jordan Mason makes a lot of sense as well. If you look at what Jordan Mason did last week, Debo's out. Kittle's out. I mean, double digits there. Got 2 touchdowns, 48 attempts, 247 yards already. Back-to-back 100-yard games. You get extra points on DraftKings for 100-yard games. So Jordan Mason, we're going to bump him up. I mean, his projection's high, but let's go 23 on Jordan Mason against the Rams. We look at what the Rams have done. The Rams have given up 309 rushing yards in 2 games, 45 yards on the ground, or in the air, but 3 rushing touchdowns on the ground. So Jordan Mason makes a lot of sense. Kyle Juszczyk, I could see him sneak in a goal line touch there and get in tutty for 4,000. So those are just some of the ways we are looking at this game. So now we move to the wide receiver spot. And this, again, we are using the matchup tool on the other screen just so you guys can see it. So Bengals make a lot of sense. They're not on this slate. Okay. Saints make a lot of sense. So we've got New Orleans right here. Wide receiver wise, we're looking at this. Philly gives up 36 rushing yards to wide receivers right now and a wide receiver touchdown. So if we want to look at the Saints, we go into the wide receiver. We look at New Orleans here. We get out of there. Olave, game log wise, 61 receiving targets, 6 targets last week, 81 yards. Does have a rushing attempt last week as well. So Olave's there. But Olave's not the guy. The first 2 weeks, it's been Shaheed. As you can see, he's averaging 18.6. Game log wise, 96 yards in the air, 13 yards on 3 rushing attempts. He could sneak one in, 15 plus fantasy points on both, 2 touchdowns, had 1 in each week. So Rashid Shaheed is one of my favorite wide receiver plays today. He's only 5,300. His projection is lower. I'm going to put his projection at 15. And I'm going to take Olave and put him at 14. I'm going to, not 145, 14. And that's where I'm going with New Orleans, okay? So then you come in and the Chargers, we look at the Steelers, which are they on this slate? They are, am I missing them or are they not on this slate? No, Pitt. Nope, there you go, Pitt. So they are there. Where are they at? Pitt, here we go. So wide receivers for Pitt. So again, you've got George Pickens, Van Jefferson, Roman Wilson, Scotty Miller, Calvin Austin. So you know you're not really going to get a ton. So we're going to go there, and we are going to go to Pitt. That brings us to, like we just talked about. So they haven't been doing much, though, with their quarterback. That's the problem. Justin Wilson hasn't really been doing a ton here. Had 4 targets, only 2 receptions in that week there. His matchup here, passing defense, they rank 6th, so they're pretty good. Rushing, they rank 5th. So this Chargers offense, I might go away from that. So looking at that, I might be off of the Chargers there, or the Steelers. The Bills aren't there, so the Cardinals. So that does bring us to the Cardinals. Like I said, if we're doing a bring back with the Lions, Cardinals make a lot of sense. Obviously, Harrison had a monster week last week after nothing. 8 targets, 130 yards, 2 touchdowns in the first half. We know what he's going to do. So Marvin Harrison makes a ton of sense when we are looking at this game. So we go through. He's going to get 16 out of me. Dortch and Wilson are there. So let's see what they did after that game. Dortch is questionable. Hamstring, he might not be in. So if he is out, that is even more. Michael Wilson here, game log wise, 31 yards last week. Hasn't really done much, but he could bump up if Dortch is out. So that could be a good spot for him as well, if you want to bring it up. So Zach Pascal, I didn't even realize he was on this team. He's 3,000. Again, those guys are the ones that if you make multiple lineups, that makes sense. So Harrison, I'm going to bump him up there. And then, do we have the Texans on this slate? We do. Wide receiver for the Texans. Get rid of the Cardinals. Come through here. Nico Collins, Diggs, Dell, and Woods are there. So we're out of here. Going to the beginning. Going to Houston. Nico Collins last week, game log on, was it Sunday night? Double. He's been great. Over 100 yards in those games. He's the clear number 1, which to the chagrin of Diggs. So I'm going to put him at 17. I'm going to put Stephon Diggs at 13. And I want to see what Diggs, he had a touchdown last week, I believe. Game log wise, he did not have a touchdown last week. He had only 37 yards. For whatever reason, the game plan was to shut him down, and they did. Then you got Tank Dell. Dell had a touchdown, right? He did not have a touchdown. He did not do anything. So, yeah, though you're going to get that bump up there, but Nico Collins is where I'm at. And then we look at tight end here. So get out of the Houston. We're going to look at the tight ends. It's been terrible this year. But, again, if you want to stay in this game, and we're looking here, Broncos. So Tampa Bay has given up no touchdowns this year, but averaging 13.2. So we're looking at these two here, depending, or Denver. So you've got tight end Dulcich. Game log hasn't really done much. Troutman hasn't done anything in those 2 games. So that's my problem. The tight end situation is kind of up in the air right now. I don't really like it. Just kind of look at the games that might score the most and maybe go through that way. I'm not going to touch anything right now with tight ends. So we've kind of started the build out there. And if you want to look, you can go to the old SaberSim, which might be a little bit easier depending if you used it in the past. And we go through and go to settings once it loads. Number of lineups. So what I love, the pro version, you can do 5,000 lineups. You can do contest sim. So we're at 25,000 quarter jukebox for 25 cents. So you go to add sim. Contest size is 118,000. So contest size here, or you can go different ones depending if you want to look at that. Well, that's baseball. Why is it baseball? Why did it go to baseball? No. Okay. So I went to, because I went to the old one. So we go to, give me a second. This is going back to what we were doing. Main slate. We've already put in the updates that we wanted to look at. So we go to settings. We go to 5,000 lineups. We go to the entry here is, what is the entry? Is it 20? 20. So you go to 20 max. There's over 100. There's over 50,000. You go to contest. Okay, contest sims. Select it. So it is the 25,000, 25 cent quarter jukebox there. 118,906. 118,906. Save the setting. And now we're going to build lineups. So it's going to do 5,000 lineups. I'm going to pause the video, and then we'll look at what the contest simulations did, and we'll look at the lineups that it popped out of there. Okay, so the first one, as you can see, you almost can see it. Okay. Get out of there. As you can see, that's too much now. My bad. It pulled in a full, the first one, pulled in a full Saint stack. Carr, Kamara, Zamir White, Shaheed, Devonta Smith, Chris Olave, Parkinson, Jordan Mason, and the Titans defense against their former quarterback for whatever reason. That's the one that came out. Then you can see like Jared Goff here. It is not a stack. There's no stack there. It's there's no stack with the quarterback. No correlation there. You've got Kamara and Shaheed there for the Saints. You have two Eagles, Goddard and Smith. So then you can come through here. You can go stack exposure. You can look at it. Quarterback +1. There was 1,900 of those. Quarterback +2 was 1,200. So let's go quarterback +1. Just at the top, Darnold and Johnny Munt. Still got Jordan Mason there. Shaheed is still there. You got Kamara still there. You can go the next one. They've got Goff with Amon-Ra St. Brown. You've got Jared Goff with St. Brown again. Daniel Jones with Malik Neighbors. You still got Eagles stacked there. You've got the Titans defense. Like, there are certain ways to go about this. And then you can flush it out. You can, we've done that. Now we can run our contest simulation. So we're going to run it, and then we're going to show, and it'll show down here the return on investment on this slate that we're looking at with the 100,000 quarterback quarter jukebox 25 cent one. So once it is done, I will zoom the video and we will look at it because I don't know how long it's going to take. Okay, so simulation's done. As you can see, it came the one with Darnold and Johnny Munt with the Dolphins, Kamara, Shaheed, Jacobs, Devonta Smith, Ayuk, and Mason. Ayuk should absolutely feast in this game. I think you could even probably put Brock Purdy, Ayuk, and Jordan Mason in a lineup and feel comfortable with that because Kittle's out, Debo's out, so I think all of them could feast. But you see the return on investment there. It's a quarterback +1. Secondary stack is 2, 1, and 2. Return on investment is 107% is what it's looking at. Now, again, win rate is 0.02. Cash rate is 50%. So if you're playing cash, they think this one will cash. So that it's pretty awesome what SaberSim is able to do when you build out that way. So just for instance, looking at a couple of the player pools that you may be wondering that we would like, that I would use in this situation, that I want to have a lot of exposure to. I think Kyler Murray and Jared Goff make a ton of sense for you. I'm going to be using them. I think Derek Carr, CJ Stroud, a couple others. I like Darnold a little bit as well. And then I think I want to go a little bit with Brock Purdy and stack with them. So again, you've got to kind of stack with what you're doing. That's what I would look at. So with Darnold, you could use Johnny Munt or you could use Justin Jefferson. It makes a lot of sense for me. If we're stacking Kyler, it's him and most likely it's going to be Marvin Harrison. That makes a lot of sense there. Or Trey McBride as well. If you're going Jared Goff, I think a lot of people are going to be on St. Brown. I kind of want to look at Jameson Williams a little bit. I will get exposure there. I think the running backs in that game also make a ton of sense to use. I think both of them are capable of both getting touchdowns. I think the game could be pretty fun in that situation. CJ Stroud, I'm obviously taking him with Nico Collins. I think Cam Akers is going to be very, very expensive. Or not expensive. His ownership is going to be huge on that chalk. So in cash, okay with Akers, but if you're playing tournaments, I might fade Akers in that one. If we're looking at Derek Carr, Shaheed makes a ton of sense. Alvin Kamara makes a ton of sense. That's where I would look at there. A couple others. Brock Purdy, put him with Jordan Mason. Also put him with Ayuk. You could always look at like Jawan Jennings. He's going to be a cheap option for you there. So that's kind of where I'd build it around for the early slate. Maybe you want to go Andy Dalton as a very cheap stack. Like if you went Dalton here, Andy Dalton, we put him with Thielen. It's a very cheap stack. Dalton is $4,800. It's not going to take much to pay off his salary there. And that's if you make multiple lineups. So that's kind of the breakdown that I would look at for this main slate. Using the matchup tool that we have, using SaberSim that we could also use, just using everything. If you want to go check out Outlier for your bets, I've got some bets. We're going to be talking about bets in the Discord channel, and I'm probably going to be making a video as well. So that's what I've got in this video. Hopefully it did well for you. If there's certain things you guys want to see in these videos, let me know what kind of breakdowns you would like to see, and we will try to break it down for you as well. So that's kind of my thought. If you guys want to check out SaberSim, I don't have a promo code. They don't have any affiliate link yet. You can sign up. I believe you get a 5-day free trial. So if you want to check them out and you've never used them before, I think you get 5 days to try them out. So try them out this week. See if you can win some money, some contest simulations, kind of what we talked about, what I showed you. I would switch to the old one. It's just a little bit easier. But the new one just pretty much does all the work for you. But if you're one that likes to meticulously, tinker with things, definitely something you could look at. So certain games we're going to focus on. Obviously, we're going to build lineups. They are on our cheat sheet. The cheat sheet is done. The showdowns are done. If you have not checked it out, we already have the Sunday Night Football breakdown, which I will link at the end of this video. We're going to break down both of the games from Monday Night Football as well. So hopefully this was informative. If you guys liked it, hit the like button. Again, minimum of 50 likes if you want to check that out. So good luck on this slate. Good luck on Sunday night. Good luck on Monday night, whatever you're playing. Let's bring up some bacon together. Peace.